Hello and welcome to this tutorial about how to use Jupyter Notebook in Galaxy. I'm Teresa Müller. I'm part of the Freiburg Galaxy team, and I will guide you through this tutorial today. You can use this tutorial either as a setup tutorial to open your Jupyter Notebook and then work by yourself, or you use it as part of the Python course from the carpentries that we are offering in the Galaxy Training Academy. And I will give you throughout the tutorial some hints of setups you need to do to then later on follow that course. Okay, with this, let's jump right into the tutorial. So today you're going to learn about how an interactive tool in Galaxy opening up the Jupyter Notebook can be done. You will learn how to install dependencies within that environment. You will learn how to get data into the notebook, how to open a notebook, how to save it to your Galaxy history. And you will also learn how to produce a plot and save that plot to your Galaxy history. Of course, to start with the tutorial, you should go to a Galaxy instance. I'm using galaxy.eu today, but feel free to use whatever instance you like. First, when you start a new tutorial, you should always create a new history. You can create a new history by clicking on the History Plus button in your History section. So I'm clicking on the plus, and then now I get a clean history. Of course, you should also give that history a name, like opening Jupyter Notebook in Galaxy. You can also give some specific annotations, and you can include tags. For example, you could choose to give it a Python tag. This will help you later on to find your histories, because I guess by the end of, or within all of your analysis, you will create multiple histories, and then it's easier to find whatever history you are searching for. So now we can click Save, and we have a fresh history and can start with a tutorial. To start with the tutorial, I would encourage you to open it within your Galaxy instance. So click on that little head icon on the top menu bar, and then the Galaxy Training Network site will open up. I'm already in that tutorial, but we will find that tutorial together. So I'm going to the main page of the Galaxy Training Network. And under the topic on top, using Galaxy and managing your data, you will find a section. So you click on that one, you will find a section that is called Analyzing Data. And here you find the tutorial that we're going to do today, which is use Jupyter Notebook in Galaxy. So click on that, and voila, you're within the tutorial. So what are we going to learn today? As I already said, you will learn how to use a Jupyter Notebook within Galaxy, how to store your data, how to upload a file, how to generate your first plot. And this tutorial can be used as a setup for the Carpentry Python course. And I will give throughout the tutorial some hints of preparation steps you will need to do this follow-up Python course. So just bear with me. We will set you up completely. Okay, then the first step will be to upload data. And as I said, this is a setup for the Software Carpentry's Python course. We will use the Gapminder data that is used within the tutorial. So you can copy all of the files. They are all uploaded to Zenodo. And by copying the download links here, we can go back to the Galaxy instance and click on Upload on the left menu bar. So I click on Upload and I click on Paste Fetch Data. And this will open a window for you where here in that section you can just paste the links that you just copied. So I press Ctrl V to paste all of the links. And then I click on Start here below to upload the files. You could also search for the right file format, but we choose to do the auto detect and just see whether it works. And if it does not work, we can later on specify the correct format. So with this, I can close this upload window. And you see that our data is already uploading because it turned from gray to orange. And once it's uploaded, this area will turn green. Okay, so we're gonna let them upload and just follow the next steps of our tutorial. So after the files are uploaded, we need to make sure that that the files are in CSV format because we have tabular files, so a comma-separated file format. And this is what we're going to check now. So I jump back to my history, and just by expanding one of the file boxes, I see the file format. And the auto detect worked. It is already in CSV format. I can check for all of them quickly, and I see for all of the files, I have the CSV format. So we are good to go here. If this is not the case for you, then within the tutorial, you have a section on how to change the data type. Next, we can start our Jupyter lab. And to do this, we have a hands-on box that guides you through that step by step. And I will expand the section how to launch a Jupyter lab. And we're going to use the interactive Jupyter notebook tool. And you can either search within your instance for that tool, or you can directly open it from the tutorial. That's a really neat feature that we have. If you open up the tutorial within your Galaxy instance and it is configured within the tutorial, you can automatically open it from the tutorial. That's what we're gonna do. I just click on it. And as we don't have any notebook that is already there, we're going to start with a fresh notebook. So within the tool parameters, we have the option to start with a fresh notebook or to load a previous notebook. So if you're going to work on your notebooks now and you want to save it and jump back later on into that notebook, you can for sure open the saved notebook later on. But today we're going to start with a fresh one. And I just press Run Tool to activate the interactive Jupyter notebook. And you see, at the moment, they were first gray. Now they turn yellow. And for the interactive tools, the status of the tool will be, as long as it is running, always yellow, as this is an interactive tool and it is running, and therefore it will stay yellow. So once you close the tool, they will become green. To open this interactive tool, you see on the left side in the menu bar, we have a new button that is called Interactive Tool. You can click on this one, and this opens up in the middle panel the window where you can launch now your Jupyter notebook. You can do this by clicking on the tool normally, but maybe this one needs a bit of more time until it really gets activated. So let's give it a bit of more time until this link is clickable. So it may take a few minutes. I will pause the video until I can open the link. So see you in a little bit. Okay, welcome back. So for me now the link is clickable, and therefore I can open the Jupyter Lab environment. This may load a little while, but it should not be too long. Okay, perfect. So now you have your Jupyter Lab open. On top, you see the menu bar with the file, edit section, and so on. That is quite common for a tool. Then on the left side, you have your file overview, where you also have the option to open a new notebook, upload data, upload a file, and so on. And in the middle section, you actually see the workspace. So at the moment, we have the launcher open, from which you can open a notebook for programming in Python or in R, so whatever suits you in Julia. You also have the possibility to open a console. You can open a text file or a markdown file. So whatever you want to do, but as today we want to open a Python notebook, we're going to click on the Python notebook. And with that step, you already now opened your first Python notebook within Galaxy. So at the moment, the notebook does not have a name, which is fine for the moment, but I think you might always know it's always good to name your file that you open, give it a meaningful name, and later on when we want to store it back to Galaxy, of course, it also should be saved. So we can do this by going to File and then Save Notebook As. And here you can give it a name, for example, my first notebook. So whatever name you want to give it. Most of the time, my first notebook is not so meaningful, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to choose that name now. So I save. I save this one now, and now you see I have renamed the file, and my notebook is called now my first notebook. You see that we have a first cell open, and now we can actually start working within that notebook. So the tutorial, I jump back to my Galaxy space to open up the tutorial. And the tutorial, after opening the notebook and checking that we actually have the Python kernel running, which we have, and saving it. We can jump to the next section, which gives us or tells us how we can install Python libraries using Conda. So I'm going to copy this commands again and jump back to my notebook, go into the cell and paste the commands and press enter to start running the first cell. So with to start running the first cell, I did not only press enter, but shift enter. If you only press enter, you just go one row lower. So like a normal enter within a text file. So you can either, to execute a cell, press shift enter, or you can press this little play button here on top. Both options are valid. And now, what does this command do? So with the exclamation mark, we are telling the notebook now, please run a bash command. Then we are giving it the conda install command for installing Seaborn and Pandas, so two Python libraries. Pandas is a library where you can open up tabular data, so a data frame, and work on this, manipulate it, and so on. If you do the Python course later on, you will see what you can do with this pandas library. And the Seaborn library is a library that helps you create nice fancy plots. We also gave it this -y parameter, as we want to jump the section where we are going to ask if the installation of the following packages are okay. Usually, if you run the conda install command, it will try to figure out what dependencies other than the one you are giving needs to be installed so everything is running smoothly. And it will ask you, is it okay to install these ones in your environment? And then you say yes or no, depending on what you want to do. But within the notebook, it's not so easy to say yes, and therefore we entered the -y to do it automatically. So this installation, you see that now all of the installation comments are printed below the cell, and this may take a while. So let me go up. I want to jump now to the end of all of this output, and this I can do easily by creating another cell below all of this output. So I press the plus to get a cell below. And now you see I'm at the end of all of this printout. So we have now here two cells because it was finished and I created another cell. Okay, great. So everything seemed to be run smoothly and fine. So we don't have any warning here, and therefore we can just proceed with the tutorial. Next, the next part is now actually to install more additional Python libraries, which you will need later on for the Python course. So to do this, you also copy this Python libraries, go back to the notebook, go into a cell, and with Control V, paste the content into the cell. And then with Shift Enter or pressing this play button, you will execute the cell. I will not do it now, as this again will take a while. But if you want to follow up with a tutorial, now please run that cell. Okay, but I want to jump directly to the next part of the tutorial, which is now importing these libraries that we just installed here on top. So we installed pandas and seaborn. And if you install pandas and seaborn, you will automatically also install, so you would need matplot library like matplotlib. These are, for example, the dependency I told you before about that will be installed because you installed another library. So I will copy all of these import comments and go back to the notebook and paste them and execute the cell to just see. Now I can actually check, are my libraries now available for me? Can I use them because they can be imported? And the cell did run without any errors. So it looks all fine for us and we can proceed with the tutorial. Okay, so the next step in the tutorial is now to import data. And if you remember, we had this, I think, 6 files in total that we uploaded before into our history. And this should look something like this within your history. So you have this green boxes where you have the file name, but you also have for each of the box, so each step of your history, a number that is given in the right before the name. And now we need this numbers to actually get our data into our notebook. And this can be done by using the function get. So this is a specific function for the notebooks that are opened in Galaxy to retrieve the location of the file that is within a Galaxy history. So to do this, I will again copy this line, which says it first takes a variable name, which is file import, and this will be filled with the output of the get function. And the get function takes as an input the file number, and the file number you can find within your history. So we should import the European GDP gapminder file. So I will jump first to my history and search for the European file, which is here. And it's the 5th box within my history. So I need to remember the number 5 now. Okay, so I will open the tutorial and just copy the line because it's easier than typing for me because I always mistype. So the line is copied and I go back to my notebook and just paste the command. And now I can replace the file number. So I delete the parenthesis file number and just paste, and just enter 5. Because 5 is the, maybe I jump back quickly. 5 is the number of the file within my Galaxy history. Okay, and with this get function now I can execute the cell to use the get function to get the location of the European GDP gapminder file. and it executed. Now within the variable file import, we have the location of the file. And in the tutorial now, in the next line, it tells you to not only do this for the European GDP Gapminder file, but for all of the files that will be used later on in the tutorial, so in the Python course. So please pause the video and copy all of these lines and try to find all of the files and save the locations here to open it up for later on. But for the sake of time, I'm gonna skip this part. I will not do it with you now, but you can just pause the video. Okay, I will directly jump to the next section, which is now to read this CSV file by using the file import variable. So from the location where it's stored, it will read this into the data frame. So I copy this line and paste it into my cell and execute the cell. And it all went smoothly as we don't have any error. So I can show you this by typing data frame dot head. This is not part of the tutorial. I just want to show you that we actually have the data imported and how it looks. So within the data frame, you have one column. So the first column says country, and it lists all of the countries of the European files. So most likely they are all European countries. And then you have the GDP per capita for several years. And this information we're going to use now for the next section, because now we actually want to draw a plot. For this, we're going to use now Seaborn to plot a histogram. But before we gonna say what kind of data should be plotted, which is defined in the second command, we first gonna define how the graph itself should look like. So there is an option which is called subplot, where you can plot actually more than one plot within one picture frame. But we're going to specify today that we will just have one plot within that frame by saying one for the two parameters n row and n column, and also configure the figure size. So I copy over this line because this defines first what kind of plot we want to have. And next, we're going to say what kind of plot we want to plot here and what data should be plotted. So we want to plot the GDP per capita from the year 1997 and use Seaborn, use the Seaborn library for that. So I copy over this line as well to my notebook and paste it. So first we're gonna configure the plot, and then we fill it with the actual data. So I execute this now, and this will give us a nice plot. And here now you see the distribution of GDP for the different countries. But what the data means is not so important for us at the moment. We just wanted to generate a plot. Because in the next step, we're going to take this plot and export it to our galaxy history. And therefore, first, you need to save this plot and give it a name. So we call it distplot.png and save it by using this command. So I copy it and paste it into the next cell of my Jupyter notebook. So I pasted the command and execute the cell. And now you should see on the left side, yeah, it took a bit, but now you see that the plot is saved. So the distplot PNG you can see here now. We could also open it up. It opens a new tab and you see the plot. This is now within your notebook, but you need to bring it back to your galaxy history. And this we're gonna do now by this put comment. So if you go back to the tutorial, there is a box that says put, and then this plot. This one we're going to copy over now to the notebook and execute it. And this may take a bit longer, but it's done. And now you should see that we have the distplot.png as a file here. So it needs a bit of time to upload, but you have this plot now already within your history. And with this, we are almost at the end of the tutorial. And the only things which are left for us to do is we can also put the notebook into our history using the same put function. So here I named it, I think, a bit differently than the suggestion in the tutorial. So I will type for the first time. So in a fresh cell, I enter put and then open and close brackets. And as we enter the name as a string, I put quotations and type the name of my notebook, which in my case is my first notebook dot IPYNB. And I can execute this cell as well. And this also may take a bit, but we should find the notebook now also again in the history. And with this, you can just close the environment tab. It is still running, so you could also reopen it again, but we can leave it for now. And to close the interactive environment, you need to go back to your active environment tool section. So if you are not here, click on this button again. And now click the box and you get the option to stop the Jupyter notebook. And by clicking stop, you can actually end the Jupyter notebook. And with this, we are at the end of the tutorial. So you learned how to open a notebook, how to bring in data, how to do your first plot, and then again, how to save this into your notebook. And all of these steps you will need to follow now the Python course. So I would encourage you to go to the section which is called Jupyter interface. So the first parts of the tutorial will explain you steps that we already did now. So you can jump into this section of the tutorial. As you don't want to open you can open it here inside Galaxy, but you don't need to do this. So actually, I would encourage you to press your your right mouse and just copy the link and then open a new tab and paste this tab and jump directly to this section, which says the Jupyter Lab interface, and follow from here. So here you again get an explanation how this Jupyter Lab is constructed, and then you can dive through the full tutorial. And with this, I wish you a good day, happy learning, and hope you will also enjoy the Python course now. Bye.